Hello, my friends. Good morning to you, and welcome back to the reading of the Spirit's book. We are chapter 6, the law of destruction, and there's the subtopics, which are necessary destruction and abusive destruction, destructive calamities, war, murder, cruelty, dwelling, the death penalty. Very popular topics. And we are at necessary destruction and abusive destruction, question 728, which is destruction a law of nature? Answer: it is necessary for everything to be destroyed in order to be reborn and regenerated. What you call destruction is no more than transformation that is aimed at renewing and improving living beings. Question that comes after this answer: has the destruction instinct been given to living beings for providential purposes? Answer: God's creatures are the instruments that God uses for attaining the divine ends. In order to feed themselves, living beings destroy each other with the dual purpose of maintaining the balance of reproduction, which might otherwise become excessive, and utilizing the remains of their external envelopes. But it is only the envelope that is destroyed. The envelope is only an accessory and not an essential part of the thinking being. The essential part is the indestructible intelligent principle, which is developed through the various metamorphoses that it undergoes. Question 729. If destruction is necessary for the regeneration of beings, why does nature surround them with the means of self-preservation and conservation? Answer: to prevent their destruction before the proper time. Any destruction that occurs too soon retards the development of the intelligent principle. That is why God has given to each being the need to stay alive and reproduce. Question 730. Since death should lead us to a better life and deliver us from the ills of this world, and should therefore be desired instead of dreaded, why do humans have an instinctive horror of it and see it as a cause for apprehension? Answer: we have already stated that humans should seek to prolong their life in order to accomplish their task. That is why God has given them the self-preservation instinct. It sustains them in all their trials. Without it, they would frequently give in to discouragement. The secret voice that tells them to avoid death also tells them they may yet do something more for their progress. Whenever danger threatens them, it is a warning to them that they must take advantage of the time God has granted them. But ingrates usually give thanks to their lucky star instead of their creator. Question 731. Why has nature placed the agents of destruction side by side with the means of self-preservation? Answer: the remedy besides the illness. We already have told you, in order to maintain balance and to serve as a counterweight. Question 732. Is the need for destruction the same on all worlds? Answer: it is in proportion to how material each particular world is. It appears altogether in a pure physical and moral state. On worlds more evolved than yours, the conditions of existence are altogether different. Question 733. Will the need for destruction always exist for humankind on the earth? Answer: the need for destruction diminishes among humans to the degree that their spirit overcomes matter. That is why you may observe that the horror of destruction follows upon intellectual and moral development. Question 734. In their present state, do humans have an unlimited right of destruction in regard to the animals? Answer. That right is limited to the need of providing for their food and safety. Abuse has never been a right. Question 734. What about destruction that exceeds the limits of need and safety? For example, hunting, for instance, when it has no other objective than the pleasure of destroying needlessly. Answer. It is a predominance of the animal nature over the spiritual nature. All destruction that exceeds the limits of need is a violation of God's law. Animals only destroy to satisfy their needs, but humans who have free will destroy without need. They will be called to account for abusing the freedom granted to them because in such cases they yield to evil instincts. Question 736. Do those cultures that carry their scrupulousness to excess regarding the destruction of animals have any special merit? Answer. Such excess is a sentiment that in itself is praiseworthy, but it becomes abusive and its merit is neutralized by other kinds of abuse. They act more out of superstitious fear than true humaneness. Now there's another topic, which is destructive calamities. 737, the question. For what purpose does God inflict humankind with destructive calamities? Answer. To impel them to progress more quickly. Haven't we stated that destruction is necessary for the moral regeneration of spirits who accomplish a new degree of perfection during each new existence? You must see the end in order to appreciate the results. You only judge such things from your own personal point of view, and you regard such afflictions as calamities because of the injury they cause you. However, these hardships are often necessary in order to make things arrive at a better order more quickly and to accomplish in a few years what would otherwise require many centuries. Question 738. Couldn't God employ other methods instead of destructive calamities for improving humankind? Answer. Yes, and they are employed every day through the knowledge of good and evil. God has given to each of you the means of progressing. However, humans do not take advantage of them. Thus, it is necessary to afflict them in their pride and make them feel their own weakness. Question that comes after this answer. But the moral person succumbs to these calamities along with the wicked. Is this just? Answer. Throughout life, humans relate everything to their body, but after death, they think differently. As we have already stated, the life of the body is almost nothing. A century in your world is but a flash in eternity. Just a second. Sorry. The sufferings that last a few of your months or days are nothing, and are only a lesson that will serve you in the future. Spirits who have pre-existed and have survived everything else comprise the real world. They are the children of God and the objects of the divine kindness. Bodies are no more than disguises behind which they make their appearance in the world. In the great calamities that decimate humankind, moral persons who succumb are like an army which during war sees that its uniforms have become tattered, worn out, or lost. The general is more concerned for his soldiers than their uniforms. And then there's a question that comes after this answer, which is, but aren't the victims of these calamities actual victims nonetheless? Answer. if we consider life as it is in itself and how insignificant it is in comparison with the infinite, the less importance we would attach to it. In another life, those victims will find ample compensation for their sufferings if they injure them without complaining. And then there is a note from Kardec under this answer, which is the following. Whether death results from a calamity or an ordinary cause, we cannot escape it when the hour of our departure has come. The only difference is that in the former case, a great number depart at the same time. If we could elevate ourselves through and though, so as to encompass all humankind in a single glance, these terrible calamities would seem no more than passing storms in the destiny of the world. Question 739. Are destructive calamities useful from a physical point of view, notwithstanding the hardships they cause? Answer. Yes, they sometimes modify the conditions of a region, but the good that results from them is usually only felt by future generations. Question 740. Couldn't calamities also be moral trials for humankind by exposing humans to the most afflictive needs? Answer. Calamities are trials that furnish humans with an opportunity to exert their intelligence and to demonstrate their patience and resignation before the will of God. At the same time, calamities enable them to develop the sentiments of self-denial, self-detachment, and love for their neighbor, if they are not dominated by selfishness. Question 741. May we avert the calamities that afflict us? Answer. Yes, in part, but not as is generally supposed. Many calamities are the consequences of your own improvidence. As you acquire knowledge and experience, you become more able to avert them, that is, to prevent them, if you know how to study their causes. Among the ills that afflict humankind, however, there are those of a general nature that belong to the designs of providence and from which all individuals receive in a greater or lesser proportion the share for which they are responsible. They can do nothing about these except resign themselves to God's will. But even these ills are usually aggraved by human carelessness. There is a note from Kardec under this answer also, which is, among the destructive calamities that are natural and independent of human actions, we find plagues, famine, floods, and the inclement weather condition that are fatal to the productions of the earth. But in science, in works of art, in improvements of agriculture, in crop rotation and irrigation, and in the study of hygienic conditions, has not humankind found the means to neutralize or at least mitigate such disasters? Are in certain regions that we formerly devastated by terrible calamities protected nowadays? Therefore, what will humankind not accomplish for their material well-being when they know how to make use of all the resources of their intelligence, and when, caring for their own self-preservation, they know how to ally it with the sentiment of true charity for the fellow beings? Well, guys, I think this was a pretty important topic, especially for these days we are having now. And I wish you more a spirit that can share more instead of thinking so egoistically. And to myself also. A big kiss to you all. God bless you. Bye-bye.